Nigeria has been growing over the years. The situation became worse with the continuous attack on farmers by insurgents in the northeast and bandits in other parts of the country. As security data shows that hundreds of farmers have been killed or kidnapped within the last year. Inflation record shows that basic food items have become unaffordable for many. Prices jumped again recently after government ended a long-running fuel subsidy back in June. Inflation has continued to rise, hitting 22.4% in May. The United Nations says 25 million Nigerians are at the risk of not being able to get enough food every day. To deal with this worsening food crisis, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu declared a state of emergency on food security. Under the state of emergency, farmers will be given supplies and protection among many other incentives. Hello, thank you for joining us on this week's edition of Saturday Discourse. I am Tessie Omeri, and of course we'll be focusing on the declaration of state of emergency on food security. Do stay with us. And before then, the federal government and that of Niger State have flagged off a statewide animal vaccination against anthrax. Musa Baba Ali reports that the federal government has provided 50,000 doses of the vaccine.
This is the farm where the first case of anthrax was detected. The farm is located in Gajere community of Suleja Emirate in Niger State.
It is believed that the anthrax, the infection, got into the farm through the cellular arms that were introduced newly into the farm. Based on the history we obtained there, we found out that 2 days prior to the onset of the outbreak, the animal that was brought from outside actually died.
As a safeguard, the farm was quarantined and the animals vaccinated.
Exposed people that are working in this index farm on prophylaxis. They've been on treatment, and they have been monitored.
Under the disease control guidelines, all animal farms located within 12-kilometer radius of the affected farm must be vaccinated. And here are veterinary officers from Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Niger States administering the anthrax vaccine as part of the statewide campaign against the deadly zoonotic disease.
For now, we are targeting all the animals within 12-kilometer radius of the outbreak. So the federal government has graciously released 50,000 doses of the anthrax vaccine to kick off this exercise.
So we'll have a surveillance system on a high alert now. The moment we hear similar signs coming from different areas of the state, we mobilize our team, we'll go take samples and at the same time vaccinate. Because you don't vaccinate sick animals, vaccinate animals that are apparently healthy.
The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, has also provided logistics support to the federal government towards eradicating anthrax in Nigeria. From Tafa local government area of Niger State, Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Nigeria is endowed with abundant natural resources, arable land and water bodies adequate enough to sustain food needs of about 200 million people. Yet, the agricultural sector in the country has not been without challenges. Deborah Gaza-Jamaica in this report examines the factors which necessitated the declaration of state of emergency on food security in Nigeria.
Available records indicate that food makes up more than 50% of the total consumption basket in Nigeria, just as availability of food plays an important role in the welfare of citizens. Climate change, farmers' herders clashes, and global economic situation are some of the factors experts highlight as contributory to food insecurity in Nigeria. These emerging challenges recently put the present administration at edge, making President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to declare a state of emergency on food security.
Nothing we can do instantly as to arrest the hunger in the country, but we still throw it back to the government. If government can do anything to assist people, farmers are hungry. Why? Because there are natural disasters. Like in my place, there were a lot of floods.
Agriculture experts' observations are a pointer to the need to boost the security architecture to protect farmers as they continue to appeal to the governments to make realistic the agricultural diversification policy in Nigeria.
Farmers are crying for fertilizer. Farmers are crying for the supply. They have politicized it. Talking about agriculture, let us have policies that can go down to the villages, identify the farmers, show me where you're farming, take the picture of that person on that farm, capture it in the technology where you can see it everywhere. Give him money.
However, in May this year, inflation rates rose to 22.41%, leading to high increase in prices of commodities in the markets.
With the recent removal of subsidy from the petroleum products, you expect that there will be a multiplier effect, spiraling effect, because other people who want to be in business will naturally have to increase their prices to be able to remain in business. And therefore, that explains the hyperinflation you've seen in the last few weeks. There are other intervening factors that must be taken in place. If there is general poverty in the land, it will not be a problem of availability in the first place. It will be another problem of affordability.
Nigerians are on the lookout for measures by which the government can check inflation and ease the suffering of the masses, since most staple foods can be produced rather than the high rate of imported foods. In Abuja, Deborah Gazaji-Maika, NTA News.
Thank you, Deborah, for that background report, which ushers in our discussion tonight on the issue of a state of emergency on food security. And I'm being joined tonight to discuss this all-important topic, Professor of Agriculture and Extension, Development Communication, all the way from University of Ibadan, Professor Muhammad Kuta Yahaya. Professor Muhammad Kuta Yahaya is joining us virtually from Maiduguri and Nota, Ibadan. Glad to have you join us this evening.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to join you. Thank you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
So now, how will the declaration of the state of emergency help, to tackle this issue of food crisis?
Well, first of all, I would like to appreciate President Bola Ahmed for his quick response through an emergency declaration. Anywhere you declare an emergency is a clear demonstration that there is an urgent need to arrest the situation. And this situation of the food crisis and the challenges that are bound in the face of food security in the country is a long journey to this moment. We have had devastating crisis as a result of flooding, which is a product of climate change. We are also witnessing drought in some locations, particularly in the Northeast, and particularly where I am right now, where you are talking about inadequate rain supply and rainfall, and the conflicts that have pervaded our society over time, from Boko Haram to kidnapping and so on, leaving a wide gap. This situation was further compounded with the Ukraine-Russia crisis.
Okay.
And grain supply globally has been so devastated because the two countries, Ukraine, account for about 50% of the flour supply to the world. So therefore, with that crisis and the blockade, it created extraordinary demand for grains across the world. And Nigeria is not an exception. Nigeria is part of the global community. Nigeria also suffered that spiral effect of that conflict, and is still facing the conflict is still unabated. Therefore, what is happening today in terms of the food crisis is not a product of this administration. It is a long journey to this moment, and for the president to declare a state of emergency shows that he has serious plans and concerns to address the issues. In any emergency declaration, you are talking about
Professor, if you can
availability.
hear me, quite a number of issues there, quite a number of challenges you have highlighted, and like you have said, it's been a long-term issue. Now, under the state of emergency, the Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources will coordinate and provide 5,000 hectares of land for farming. The CBN will ensure access to fund, invest in infrastructure on agri-value chain. What is your take on this policy?
The fact that Nigeria is quite endowed in terms of body of waters and enormous land, over 80% arable. So if we are to take off from there, the government commitment to provide support by clearing land is a first step in the right direction. And I will call for the situation of agricultural extension to drive the process of ensuring that they reach out to the target population who are the real farmers. And we should be aware that over 70% to 80% of the bulk of the agricultural produce in Nigeria are in the hands of small-scale farmers. A majority of them are located within the rural communities across Nigeria, both in terms of livestock production, fisheries and aquaculture, crops, cash crops, and arable, and indeed, majority of them depend on rain-fed agriculture. So for me, this is a time for Nigeria to scale up its agricultural production process and expand the entire value chain that will accommodate beyond rain-fed agriculture. We should endeavor to embark on massive irrigation-supported agricultural production system. Okay. And that we are already having good examples from Fadama success stories. We can leverage on what Fadama has done, take advantage of ongoing RAM project, Rural Access and Mobility project, to expand the scope of coverage and utilize the existing agricultural facilities.
Yeah. Professor, before you dwell more on that, will you say farmers in Nigeria did better before the rising of insecurity? Because, you know, it is on record that the number of farm extension workers is depleting, such that the yield per hectare is not commensurate to the group in the population of farmers and the input of, you know, the government.
Well, that's why I'm saying this emergency should take a holistic approach to addressing the issues, where you talk about we should have entire consultative forum of the entire agricultural system, from researchers who are already doing very well, producing excellent cultivars. For example, NCRI in Badegi in Niger State has come up with a new variety of rice that can produce about 5 tons per hectare, which was hitherto about 1.5 tons per hectare. So we are on the verge of high-yielding varieties that are disease-resistant and agroecologically consistent. We can harvest some of those, and we have the same thing for root crops in producing Nimudike, cocoa research in Ibadan. They have over hundreds of thousands of research findings that are waiting for adoption. The same thing can be said about 9 Hot in Ibadan and many other research institutes. I always call on everybody who care about mechanization. That is the next window that we can explore to expand and encourage young people to go into agriculture. That National Center for Agricultural Mechanization in Ilorin has produced a number of prototype, portable technologies across that can support the entire agricultural value chain, but they are not encouraged where there is no probability of mass production. This is where industry should come in to support them so that we can go into mass production. And I'm very happy that the livestock sector is about to receive a boost because the recent conference organized by the Kano State government under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Abdullahi Ganduje produced a blueprint that will usher in a new dawn for livestock industry in Nigeria, that will bring about the reforms needed, that will escalate livestock performance and productivity across the entire value chain. Sure. And we have good examples in Kano by LRZ. We have good examples by Sobore Farms in Yola, and the other farms, Wamco in Shaki in Oyo State, and many others. So with this, I don't think the problem is that of availability of manpower to drive it. What we need now is the extension to drive and government support to fund the extension properly so that they can drive it home. And we can get government to use this advantage to revitalize the extension system across the 36 ADPs so that all the ADPs that are moribund will be activated so that they will go into action and massively mobilize farmers across the country and support them with extension services, credit facilities, and so on. We know them. The extension agent can feed them out, the real farmers, as one person said, so that you can support them and they will go into massive...
Let's take a look at issue of security. Security is key in achieving all this, and government has promised to provide security to farmers. How achievable do you think this is?
Well, what has happened with Governor Zulum of Borno State is a good example. Governor Zulum has demonstrated capacity and leadership in terms of governance, and he has done that. In spite of the security challenges, he continued to move on with development strides. That he has become a good example for the international community in terms of humanitarian management, crisis management, and governance. So you can't say because of insecurity you will not feed. You have to go and look for food to eat. So, and in the current effort of the government, I'm very comfortable with the president's giant stride in terms of addressing or reorganizing Nigerian security architecture with the new men at the helm of affairs in the various arms of Nigerian security, from the National Security Advisor, a tested officer, and indeed, you talk about the service chiefs. With their pedigree, I'm sure they are going to drive home the entire new security hope for Nigeria. With that, I think we can begin to look at other things, not that. They will rise to the occasion and they will help government to achieve. So, but the biggest of them is food security. When you are able to feed yourself. Yes.
We thank you so much for joining us all the way from Maiduguri. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with us this evening. We appreciate your time with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And moving on to other matters, the Federal Capital Territory, being a cosmopolitan city, to accommodate people from all spheres of life, attracts a variety of crime and criminality within its environs. In view of this, security providers must have local knowledge of the areas to enhance provision of the required service delivery. Assistant Inspector General of Police Zone 7, AIG Adebowale Williams, gave the charge as he addressed policemen on his duty tour of the FCT Police Command. Onotu Yakubu has more.
The constant need to reassure confidence of citizens and residents in security service delivery can never be overemphasized, especially at critical periods such as the nation is now. While observers advocate the need to embrace technological advancement to to aid embodiment of professional ethics and philosophy in policing, the FCT Command says it stands tall on record for quality service delivery with human face in compliance with the Inspector General of Police mission and vision. So, the visit for the AIG is to appraise, analyze and consolidate on the progress made in the command and re-strategize for the future of security of the nation's capital.
The command under my watch is doing all it can to restore public confidence in the force by engaging the people to participate in the activities that will ultimately reduce crime and criminality.
Corroboratively, stakeholders in the FCT security scheme of affairs did not lack in words to praise the untiring efforts being put in place to police the territory.
On the patrol, with this petrol price increase, is going to be a very, very Herculean tax. And I know patrol is part of a very component part of the patrol.
Did not lack in words to praise the untiring efforts being put in place to police the territory. Then, it was time for that father-to-children moment between the AIG and his men. AIG Adebowale Williams was full of praise for officers and men of the command, but was quick to reiterate that to whom much is given, much more is expected. His call for strict adherence to professionalism, operational rules of engagement, and respect for human rights was loudest in his address.
We must therefore work harder to enhance our intelligence, capacity, and capability, among others, to enhance our proactive policing.
AIG Adebowale Williams was also quick to remind his men to initiate robust strategies that will sustain the tempo already achieved in the FCT for the security of all. Onoto Yakobo, NTA News.
And on youth, Nigerian youth have been admonished to shun all forms of social vices, especially the use of illicit drugs that could destroy their lives and future. This message is coming at the flag-off ceremony of National Youth Campaign Against Drug Abuse, put together by the Nigerian Female Youth Organization in Abuja. Odiri Ogboru Aruteri tells us more.
Stakeholders drawn from National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, members of civil society, National Peace Corps, parents, as well as the youths converged on the nation's capital to chart a way forward towards making Nigeria a drug-free country. Speakers at the event harped on the need for all to join in the fight against drugs in the country through sensitizing youths on the dangers of drugs.
The pain is mostly the woman, the mother, crying, praying. So that's why our mothers have to show more interest.
A lot of students, a lot of teenagers, a lot of children, because children too are involved. So it has altered their thinking, damaged their life, even damaged their internal organs too.
President, Nigerian Female Youth Organization, Michelle Peter, led other members in the program, which is tagged "Grab Your Talent and Drop the Drugs." Is aimed at transforming Nigerian youths.
Drug abuse leads to so many other things. It leads to rape, abuse, kidnapping, hostage taking, terrorism. But most of the people that indulge in all these things, that commit all this crime, they mention drug abuse.
Show them love. Show them that they belong. When you show them love, show them that they belong, they will listen to you.
The organization equally advised youths not to copy the rough lifestyles of some musicians, rather to be good ambassadors of the country. In Abuja, Odiri Ogboru Arutere, NTA News. Let's join our sports desk for Sports Brief.
Following the stalemate in the game against Canada, Super Falcons veteran defender Osinachi Mavis Ohale analysed what went wrong in the opener and how the team can best approach the upcoming group fixtures. While speaking in the post-match reactions, the 31-year-old defender gave reasons why the team laboured to gain 1 point from the encounter. She said they knew it was going to be difficult, and it was, but they were prepared. From the first minute, it was difficult for them to get their rhythm, and they dropped deeper than they should, and they got punished for it. It was a little bit tight, and we should have gotten maximum points, but we need to work on utilising our chances, she said. Meanwhile, Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen is set to sign a 4-year improved contract extension with Italian Serie A side Napoli. The agent of the Nigerian international Roberto Calenda has been in negotiations with the management of the club, headed by Lorenzo De Laurentiis. After 3 weeks of discussion, Osimhen is expected to sign a 4-year deal and get an improved salary of £7 million per year and 2 improved bonuses. Osimhen returned over 30 goals for the Naples-based club in all competitions last summer. With Sports Brief, Wayne Dugu, NTA News.
And that concludes our package tonight. We thank you for watching. See you next week for another edition of Saturday Discourse. Bye for now.